Today I'm chatting with one of my crazy Canadian cousins, Dallas Shannon from Traction eRag. He and his equally crazy buddies got to spend 4 days on 3 different electric bikes, and Dallas said to me, I think the Stark Varg is going to spell the death knell for KTM. Big words, and frankly, I disagree.
I know that is an outrageous statement. And what I will say is 2 things. One, I love KTM products. I think they're good products. They have done great things for our sport. But after spending 4 days on the Stark Varg, I would describe the Stark Varg as a dirt biker's electric dirt bike. Our expectations of what a dirt bike should be are quite high. And when I got on the Stark Varg, not only did it blow me away and exceed all expectations, I can say the same for every single man that got on the back of that bike over those 4 days.
That's good to hear that you guys were that impressed by it, but I've been listening to hundreds of my viewers saying the Stark Varg will just not cut it. It's not there. They're too expensive, they weigh too much, the range isn't there yet, they don't like the noise and lack of noise. They just criticise it on so many fronts. I can't imagine that this bike is anywhere near yet spelling the end for KTM dirt bikes.
I should clarify slightly. I'm using KTM because they're the largest market shareholder in our sport. So I'm picking on KTM. Like I said, I love the products, but really maybe this should be titled The Death of Combustion, which is even a stronger statement. What I would argue is today, at this present time that you're listening to this video, the Stark Varg has a place in our sport already. And the place would be for guys who ride fewer than 3 to 3.5 engine hours in a ride. And that's not a full experience, that's just 3.5 engine hours. So for some people, the Stark Varg is there. That's all they need is 3.5 hours of trail riding. And what they get in return, they get no maintenance. They get no noise. They get something that's unbelievably customizable. The amount of options that you can change on the Stark Varg through their interface. You can dial up horsepower numbers by 1. So we literally set it at 10 horsepower, and then it goes all the way up to 80 in increments of 1. So you could put a absolute noob on the back of a Stark Varg, an 80 horsepower electric dirt bike, and feel absolutely confident that they're not going to kill themselves.
There are things I'm looking forward to with electric dirt bikes too. And yeah, those sort of features are incredible. And it's what will convert a lot of people already, early adopters of the technology. But I just can't help feeling that the majority of people are just going to say it's not there yet. I can't help feeling it's not a major challenge to KTM as yet. It certainly hints at big changes coming. There are so many people who say, once we hit these key criteria, I'm in. But I think KTM's been pretty weak with electric dirt bike. Sure, the KTM eRag was a bit groundbreaking when it came out, but almost nothing's changed with it. And as far as I can see, KTM is throwing their lot in with combustion engines. I'm not aware of any electric dirt bike development, whereas the Japanese and some European brands are getting into it. Why isn't KTM?
There's this huge global corporation that is committed to combustion. And what we know now, and of course there could be a secret laboratory somewhere where they've been doing extensive electric testing. They let go of the eRide project, it seems. So I feel like watching the behavior of that mammoth company, they've fully committed to combustion. And combustion's not going to end tomorrow. It's going to go on for a long time and taper down over time, I believe. I remember when the first iPod came out, and I don't know who's listening if they know what that is or if they've heard of it, but it was Apple or Macintosh's very first groundbreaking offering into society, which was, at the time, it was basically a handheld hard drive that could carry 1,000 MP3 songs. And I remember I bought one of those right away, and I would walk around the city listening to my music in my headphones, and I couldn't help but think this is an absolute game changer, and this is going to change things. After riding the Stark Varg, I feel the same way. The experience itself was so incredible. I cannot imagine if you were to ride the bike, you would not be absolutely elated. And I am going to concur. Like, the range for a percentage of the off-road riding community on planet Earth, the range isn't quite there yet.
Maybe it does come down to you just need to try it. I am aware that ever since the Stark Varg was announced, I've been skeptical, hopefully a healthy skepticism. But all the claims they've made, I thought, not sure if I believe that one. You're stretching the truth there, possibly. And yet, as it's coming out, I am hearing these rave opinions. And certainly I should be getting to ride one within the next month. And I will try to be open-minded. I may be just as convinced as you are. But unfortunately, until then, I just can't see the Stark Varg necessarily being such a challenge to a dominant brand like KTM.
I can't wait to talk with you after you ride the Stark Varg. That's all I can say. And as far as threatening KTM, I know it's a David versus Goliath situation, and it is unlikely, but I've seen this glimmer of this new thing that was so overwhelmingly exceeding expectations of not only me and the people around me. That has to mean something. So if you remember when KTM first made waves with the Japanese brands, which what would you say, Penton in the 1990s, and then the conversion to KTM. And KTM gave our community exactly what we wanted. In fact, they gave us exactly what we wanted, and then a millimeter to the left, they gave us exactly what we wanted, and then another millimeter to the right, they gave us exactly what we wanted. And they really embraced the community, and the community felt them, and KTM exploded in market share. What I think is going to happen is, as off-road riders ride the Stark Varg and have this incredible experience, but then they weigh up the idea of price, cost of ownership, lack of noise, a friendly, customizable motorcycle that they can put their wives and children on if they so choose, and then no maintenance. Like, I think all those little things are going to swing riders, some riders, a percentage of riders, very, very quickly. And I think it's going to happen faster than we expected, and faster than the combustion community expects it to happen.
That also gets me thinking about the fact that while KTM might not be doing anything at the moment, they have been very innovative and fast to bring in new technologies. I'm sure, being the huge profit-seeking multinational corporation that it is, if and when the technology's really there for electrics, they'll be in. They'll just whoompa, bring it out. And it might be better than the Stark Varg. They might have the new lithium-ion, Gazuba technology that gets the bike down to 99 kilograms, keeps the 80 horsepower, mass-produced. It actually brings it down to the same cost as a two-stroke dirt bike. That's certainly when things are going to be pretty amazing. I can't see KTM being caught out by the Stark Varg. I'm sure somewhere their board of directors are there saying, we have to keep a finger in the pie when the electric bikes are going to be worth it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. KTM is large. They're not stupid. They have an eye on electric for sure. And there are people listening to this that know much better than I do about what would it take for a global company to pivot and go from or taper down their production of combustion and ramp up their production of electric. KTM isn't a small, nimble organization anymore. They're a huge oil tanker. And for them to change the direction of their company that's so committed to combustion, I don't know what that looks like. And this small upstart has nothing but potential, from what I can tell. And when the market really shifts to something, it really takes off. And if they can, if the demand is there and they can meet production, they could grow very, very, very quick.
Yeah. Look, that is a good point. I mean, possibly KTM won't be able to adapt and adopt new technology quickly now. Maybe it is the corporate oil tanker, and Stark Varg is the nimble sprinter, new on the market. Time will tell.
The other comment I would have about KTM versus Stark Varg is, if we were to rewind 10 years and we were talking, except instead of Stark Varg, we said the word Tesla, nobody would think that Tesla would be in the position it's in today. And everyone would think there's no way that Ford, General Motors, Mercedes-Benz, Audi, all these major global companies with deep pockets could get caught out by this small upstart company. But look what happened with Tesla. GM is still not producing electric vehicles that anyone wants to buy.
It's all definitely food for thought. What do you guys think? Is the Stark Varg representative of an electric dirt bike revolution that is potentially going to threaten KTM and other brands? Keen to hear your thoughts. Let us know in the comments.